let's talk about tolerance. Now, tolerance does get a kind of negative rap, a negative connotation in the Christian community in a lot of ways, because a lot of people in the secular side of things are misusing tolerance and describing that if you're intolerant of one person, at least in their view intolerant, that you're suddenly intolerant in everything. And this is the thing. Christianity does have tolerance in it, but before I get into that, I'm going to tell you why am I doing this live stream so late. Whether you're listening live or not, if you can tell, it's dark, so that's definitely because it is late. But why? Why? Well, the reason is I actually was sledding today. We have tons and tons and tons of snow. Okay, maybe not tons, but we have plenty of snow in our area. So we went to a nearby sledding hill, and it was so much fun just sledding. I haven't done much sledding or even winter sports in general for a good 2 years, so it was increasingly fun. It was just very fun. Now, this so we were sledding and I realized something. Now the sledding hill had a bunch of kids on it. Not too many, that was crowded, but there were kids on it. And some of us were racing together, and I realized something. That when you used to play on a playground, or when you used to sled down a hill with just a bunch of kids from the neighborhood, maybe you didn't know them, maybe they weren't even from your neighborhood, but you'd all have fun sledding, racing, or climbing up, or a playground, or whatever else. So I kind of realized that, in a way, the ultimate form of tolerance is to be like children. In this way that children are accepting that if you just want to play, if you just want to have fun, if you just want to sled down a hill, they don't really care who you are. The more people they race against, the better. And I think this is, in one way, why Jesus commands us to be like children. But also another verse that I found a very good description of tolerance in Christianity is, if possible, so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. Romans 12:18. And I think that this tells us it is important. It is so important to live peaceably. Not to be antagonistic, not to say, you're my enemy, so you must be inherently bad. Now, we're all inherently bad as humans, but we can't just look at our enemies through that glass. I would even disparage using the term enemies in a lot of ways. Now, all the same, I'm not someone who's going to tell you abandon everything and just say, just bring everybody in, just ignore the truth, just whatever brings them in the doors of the church or whatever brings them in, just say it. No, definitely not. Because we are also commanded to speak the truth in love. And this is the biggest part of living tolerantly, but also being a good witness. When you speak the truth in love, as it says in Ephesians 4:15, rather speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up in every way into Him who is the head, into Christ. Speaking the truth in love. That is important. Should have read the context a bit bigger there, but the most important part is speak the truth with love. And this is the best way to go about it. We are to open up dialogue and relationship with those who aren't Christian, but at the same time, we cannot waver in what is the truth of Christ. We cannot waver in speaking the truth when at times is important and necessary because that truth is powerful. Another thing when it comes to living tolerantly as a Christian, and that is let your actions speak. Of course, speak that truth, but at the same time, and this comes back to the idea of being like children, when in First John, it says, "Little children, let us not love in word or talk, but in deed and in truth." It is so important to not just love with your words and not just to proclaim God's truth with your words, but at the same time to live it, to do it. And this is why when it comes to building relationships with others who are not Christians, that is the biggest way that you're going to be able to minister to them, to impact them. And that wouldn't be possible if you immediately were to label them the enemy. Now, I go back to it altogether that, of course, it says, as so far as it depends on you, live peaceably with all. There will be enemies against us, but at the same time, we must show love to the highest extent, even when it's never, or it appears to be never, reciprocated. And I think that this is tolerance in Christianity. And by the way, this is kind of inspired by an article in World. It's called "A Tale of Two Feminists." And World, if you don't know, it's a Christian publication that talks about stuff like this. But this whole article is dedicated to covering basically two atheist, secular feminists. And at the same time, also talking about this kind of YouTube kind of like anti social justice warrior atheist kind of YouTube channels. And it was a very interesting perspective. It kind of inspired me to kind of talk about tolerance in Christianity. I was thinking about it before the article, though, but I say check it out. I will put it in the link in the description of the replay of this video.